Welcome to Herman Hits the Road, and in this episode we're going to be replacing the rear suspension. So you may be wondering why we're replacing the rear suspension. Well, last weekend you may have watched the video, we replaced the front suspension because this shock absorber failed while we were on holiday in Ireland, so we had to replace that side anyway. We've uprated the springs because there does seem to be nose dropping when we're driving, and when we're on a campsite we have to jack up the front with chocks, so we've replaced the front. But we noticed, and I've noticed it for a while, this side seems to be lower than this side on the front. And the reason for that is we've figured it out, that the rear suspension is sagging, especially on the driver's side here. So this is lower than the other side by about 3 to 5 centimeters, so that's sagging down, which is lifting the front passenger side up. And this is a common fault with motorhomes apparently, and the reason for that is, of course, this is a Ducato chassis, normally have, you know, pick up on the back of it or something like that, and the load, it changes every day, whereas in a motorhome the load is exactly the same every day. You know, it's maximum weight is like 3 tons, and yeah, that weight is always on the chassis all the time. Over time there's bound to be some sagging in the suspension somewhere. So here we have a set of tools that we're going to be using to do this installation.
Right, so yeah, so you've got a combination 24mm ring spanner, combination spanner opening. You've got a 24-22 swan necked ring spanner, set of impact sockets. Most important, if you're going to do anything like this, you are going to use any kind of power tool, have impact sockets because you'll split the old ones. A couple of lever bars, long and a semi-long. Half-inch drive ratchet, ball peen hammer, engineering hammer, a impact gun. We have got some air tools, but this is a brushless electric 1 o'clock one. It's quite good actually, it gives a good bit of torque. Set of water pump pliers that are adjustable, trusty old pliers, some lever bars, fix anything with a Phillips screwdriver as you know, flat screwdriver, a drill bit as what I could use as a liner upper, yeah. Some MAC gas if we need to put a bit of heat on, bit of copper slip over there in the tin, some GT85, which is a good penetrating oil and lubricant, and some trusted old WD-40.
And the light.
And the other thing as well is, what I use is a ratchet strap. It doesn't have to be a monster one, it can be anything that's, you know, you can, this is an endless one, we call an endless one. So I can wrap this around a load bearing member and just ratchet things into the right position, as opposed to prying them and pushing them and moving the vehicle around when it's on the axle stands. Just ratchet up with this and line things up. They're quite handy for that. But always make sure it's in good condition. Don't overuse them in case they snap when you come back. So this one's getting a little bit worn now. I think that this will be its last job. And this will be cut up with some scissors and put in the bin so anyone else can use it. And, you know, when they get frayed like this, they're no good, they can split. This one, I think we'll get this job out of it and then he can retire.
So far we've jacked up this side, the other side is still down, and we've got a couple of axle stands holding onto the chassis here for safety reasons, and down there we've got the front wheels are chocked. The wheel is off, as you can see, and I just wanted to explain how this all works. So down there, this is the axle, and it goes straight across the vehicle, connecting the 2 wheels together. Right, the axle is connected to the leaf spring, which is the leaf spring here, by these U-bolts. Okay, so underneath here we're going to have to undo these bolts. The spring itself is connected to the motorhome by these little bolts at the, well, little, they're quite large, bolts at the end, either end, and that is basically all that's holding your wheels on, just those 2 bolts to either side. The other thing we got to worry about is the brake lines, because they're connected to the axle and of course to the back of the hub here. So our next step is to actually remove these bolts. We've soaked them in some penetrating oil, remove these, and remove these U-bolts here. And I think that's going to be the hardest part because they've probably been sitting there for like 20 odd years. So they're going to be well rusted on.
Right, I'm going to hold that like that. Yeah. So I've got to hold it, I don't want it to slip on you. Go on. Yes. Oh. Right, wait there, right there. That's a very, very good sign. Again. Right. Oh, mate.
Is it coming off now?
Again.
Oh, you moved it?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, right. Go on, Charlie. Right, hold on. Little trick I learnt in the desert.
Yeah. Lots of Arabia here.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay. Now let's just think of this, right? So that is so we've got the suspension jacked up
on the axle. So
on the axle, right? But that's still going to spring down. So we've got probably a bit of tension here, though, right? As you're pulling that pin out.
But what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of that in 1 second. Okay. I just want to make sure that bolt was clear to the thread through the rubber.
Okay.
Yeah. So what we'll do now is we're going to put a little jack under here.
Yeah.
Just so it doesn't go ping.
Yes, that's what I thought it would happen. Yeah.
Yeah. How's it go?
Ping. Okay, so there you go.
There we go.
It's not actually. Is it on the jack though? Oh, it is on. Yeah. No.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah.
That's okay. He's nice and loose. This is what we want. You know. That's what we want. Right.
Yeah, you've got to do the other end, I guess.
We can leave the shock absorber on till last.
Okay.
It falls.
Yeah. Of course, that's a good idea. Now this particular bolt is a bit harder than the other one. To remove this bolt, I suggested that we use a longer breaker bar to get more leverage, but Chad's had a better idea which would minimise the chances of damaging the bolt. Okay. So you want to get this back on it and just push it down?
Yeah, because I don't want to round the bolt off. It's all about slowly.
Yeah, you're doing exactly what I'm suggesting, but without this.
Yeah, I couldn't feel it with that.
Can you not?
I can feel what's going on in my hands with this, yeah? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, we can put that on, turn this round, lock this onto here, yeah? Because what I wanted to do, I didn't want the nut to undo, I wanted the bolt to turn in the bush.
Right.
So it's doing that now.
Right, okay.
But with that, I couldn't feel that.
Right, okay.
And if we turn it and lock it up, that's it.
Yeah.
But now I know, the nut and the bolt are both turning.
Right. Yeah.
Right, now wait a minute. Right, down slowly. Go on. No, that's slipping off.
It's twisting off.
Yeah, that's what I don't want it to do. See that move then?
Yeah.
Beauty. Right, see, by going slowly in it, and feeling what's going on in there, as opposed to bashing it and whacking it, you know, because these can rust in these bushes.
Yeah.
So by penetrating all of it, and then feel what the tools are doing with your hands.
Yeah.
You'll feel if you get any snagging or if it's catching, you'll feel the bush twisting if it's caught to the bolt. Yeah.
Right.
So what we...
I see, yeah, we don't want the bush moving.
No.
Because you won't be able to get the bolt out.
If the bush is moving, that means it's welded itself effectively.
Yeah, yeah.
So the idea is to keep hitting it and break all the rust and detritus that's around the bolt where it goes through here. And then once you've got the bolt spinning freely, we can do the shackles now because we know that we're not going to have any problem with our actual mountings.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so this is one's undone. We're on the trolley track, yeah? He's on axle stands.
Yeah.
Okay. The trick is to let the axle down and clear the springs and just lift him out. But we've got to get these bolts undone next, so these could be, but worst comes to worst, we'll just cut them with the angle grind because we've got a new set. Okay.
Yep.
Oh.
Is that all?
That's two.
It's two? Oh, I thought
That's two off already, look.
Yeah.
One shackle bolt out.
So they're the shackle bolts, are they all U-bolts? Is that the same thing?
Shackle bolts.
Right, and what are these things, these pin things we've just taken off up the top?
They're the actual spring mount bolts.
Oh, okay. You're tightening up like that.
I hope not. Oh. I've been tightening things up for years then.
So what is that on there? Is it 17, is it?
Yeah, it should be. Oh no, yeah, 22 these are.
There's
Sorry.
22, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
22 these are. Yeah.
22.
And the other ones are 24.
Okay.
And there you go.
Done.
So there's a mounting plate there, spacer. See that?
Yeah.
Now he has to go back on. So what we'll do is we'll mark him with an arrow like that, so we know he goes to the back. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's a good idea. Yeah. Yeah. So what's underneath? Is that nut which you can see on the other suspension, right? The new suspension. Right. Okay. So the bolt that's holding the leaf spring on is actually fouling against the chassis part here.
Chassis mounting, yeah. What we've got to do is...
We can't just cut them off, of course, because you've got to get the thing on back on.
We might be
and
able
we
to
might even want to
might be able to move the spring mount enough though to get it.
Yeah.
Get this, bend it down enough to get the spring mount to come down enough to get that. Ouch, fingers. Because that spring mount should swivel.
So there is some movement in it.
Looking back at the video, I can see where we went wrong. We should have removed the shock and then the rear mounting bolt, because the weight of the axle would have helped pull this mount bolt down so we could remove it without fouling the chassis.
A little bit more, it'll go quick. That's it, that's it. Done.
No idea how we're going to get that back in though.
Oh, easy.
Oh, is it going to be easier, is it? Okay.
Yeah. Easy peasy. Easy peasy. The lemons are squeezy. Looking at these are actually captive into the chassis.
Yeah.
So you've got to be really careful with this. They'd blast this stuff off, we're in trouble. And I mean proper trouble, wouldn't we?
Yeah. That looks bent, that one.
Could be after problem.
Yeah. Right, so we're now taking the shock off because the well, it's all lowered basically, but it's not coming free. The idea being that take the shock out and we'll be able to lower the whole thing.
Yeah, but as I say, you've got to be really careful because the nut is captive inside the chassis.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
And if that goes, oh, that's a world of pain.
That is a nightmare. There you go.
And Robert's your mother's brother.
There you go. Tell which way you're trying to wiggle it a bit. Okay, got it.
There we go. She's out.
Woo!
Good job, Bob.
I don't think we got that high five on camera.
Yeah.
So this is what the space looks like when the leaf spring has been removed. And we also noticed that the rear mounting here looks fairly new. I'm talking about this thing here. It's a bracket either side. It looks fairly new. So when we've had Herman for at least a decade and we've not done that.
OEM versions of these leaf springs are no longer available, so I had to buy these replacements from Jones Springs, who are the manufacturer.
Okay, so basically, whenever you take anything apart, you always offer it up and check that it's the same. Now, looking at that, that looks okay. But if you get a mic, okay, so if I measure that there, yeah, and mic that up like so, okay,
Yeah.
that's just a rough guide. The calipers are, yeah?
Yeah.
Ah,
So they're actually smaller on the
Right.
new ones.
but are they? So if I go this end, this,
Oh look, the
But-
different ends,
so
different
what's that
width.
telling me is they're different ends, they're different sizes.
Yes.
So it's quite easy to try and put them on, or to put them on round the wrong way.
That's right. And
So
how do we
this-
know?
This one is 180 degrees that way,
Yeah.
where to mount it. But do we know which way this one came off?
I
Is
hope
that the
so.
back, or is that the front, or is that the front, or is that the back?
I hope so.
And the reason we're doing one at a time is, if you ever come across a problem like this, is
We can measure
we can
original.
measure the other side now,
Yeah.
we know which is back and which is front.
Yeah. So looking at the other side, it looks like that the bigger end is towards the front of the vehicle and the smaller is at the back. Is that what you got there? Yeah. Right, so we're going over the
Over that.
brake.
Yeah, and up into that. Just, so if you pull him round, there should be a knobbly bit on the bottom, which will locate.
So in there's a little hole. Right, there's a little hole, and then on the actual spring itself. See that bolt on the other side, the nut rather, on the other side is a bolt, which goes in the hole to align it.
After lining up the locator hole with the locator bolt in the leaf spring, we fitted the new U-bolts.
It's that copper grease we're putting them on there.
So, you know, if we ever got to take them off again, it's not stuck into the bushes, you know.
Also might stop it. Would it stop it from creaking? Because that was one thing we do have as well. It creaks when we're.
Are you sure that it's Herman that's creaking?
What are you trying to suggest?
Nothing. It's just that you're not getting any younger, mate, are you? You know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah, line it up with that.
Yeah. And then I'm going to prise it down, and you're going to pop it in, and I promise I'll never say that to you again. I'll just say, man, when I nod my head at it. Oh dear. Yep. Ta-da.
Ta-da! Magic!
So if I start tapping this, you should start to see something. Hold on.
Yeah, well, I can see it, but I need to be able to. All it needs to happen is this goes down.
Right, so if I can do. Does it need to come up or down or what?
Right, now tap it. Just gently though. Yeah, it comes.
Through?
That's it, yeah.
And he's started. Right, should we do the other end?
Yeah. So now this end, and that's got to come. Well, we've got to make it come down quite a bit. That much probably. What's that? 1.5 centimetre?
Yeah, we can do that. You ready, dude?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, here it comes. Oh no! Yeah, we need. That was halfway. No, it's not. No, that was 3/4.
That bush is tight. That's what it is. What? What's that? What?
Oh, yeah. That bush is tight.
That bush. For half an hour.
Whatever we tried, we just couldn't get the spring to line up with the mounting hole so that we could put the mounting bolt in. Instead, we went back to square one and tried a different approach. However, we didn't consider using the ratchet strap until later on, which could have saved us some time.
I want to come up a bit. There. Yeah, screwdriver's in the way. Whoa.
Right.
Better.
Why do you fingers?
There you go. It's got no thread on it now.
No, I won't have the thread.
Right, so what's been happening is we first of all connected this and then the other end. So we connected the back one and then tried to connect the front. No joy with that. The spring needs to be flattened out somewhat, but so we decided to undo the U-bolts here and take it off of here again, mount the front. Then we have plenty of room then to mount the front, and now we've mounted the back just about. That was a bit of a struggle, and now we're putting the U-bolts back on, and of course we've got to line it up with the there's a little knobbly bit in the middle. We've got to line it up with the axle, the hole in the axle.
The locator.
The locator, is that what it's called? The locator. So we're having problems lining up the noggin, which is on the spring here, with the hole in the actual axle. As you can see, it's kind of actually resting on it. So we decided, after some sledgehammers and stuff, to use what's that, a cable ratchet or something?
Ratchet strap.
A ratchet strap.
Pull it over a little bit.
While we tightened the ratchet strap, you can see how easy it was to move the axle into alignment.
Now the shock is the easy part, I think. We've already taken the top part off, but this bottom part, that is seized. So we're having a problem with that. So it's a matter of just taking 2 bolts out and replacing this whole shock. Should be dead simple. So we brought the big boys out. Oh, look at that colour.
Can't drop a beat a drop of matte gas, mate, you know what I mean? That was my best Cockney accent, actually.
Oh, was that a Cockney accent, was it?
Good bloke. They're good.
I shouldn't be touching that, it could be hot. But it's not.
Excellent, eh?
Oh, okay.
No, do it
on
not,
the go.
no, do it not by hand, because I
do it up by hand first. Then put it
catch this thread, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Feed it in.
Yeah.
Make sure it's not cross-threaded, not picking up any shit. Loosen them up a little bit, so the bushes aren't under, because you don't want to do it up and then pull it round, have the bushes twisted.
That's right.
We first mounted the top of the shock but found it impossible to line up the bottom bolt, so instead we tried to mount the bottom bolt first. Here you can see the sheer angle of the bottom bolt. It was still difficult to do, but it would have been so easy to put it in the wrong way and thread the bolt.
When it doesn't look like it's going in, it goes in, if you know what I mean. That's it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Now we'll do this one, then we'll do them both up. Next one, please.
Once the bottom was mounted but not tightened, the top bolt had to be slightly twisted in the rubber bush to mount it.
So yeah, I did them up, but did you do it with a ratchet?
What's that?
Those, the
Yeah, oh yeah, they're done right up. Right,
oh, okay.
Yeah,
Right.
they're FT.
First wheel done, the first side done, all nicely tightened. Now we're working on the other side. The wheel is lifted off the ground. Just working on this side, of course. Now the thing that we notice already is that this pipe here is just quite close to the spring. There's what we need to get to and replace this, of course. So we may have to do some surgery on this pipe, but we'll find that out in a moment.
Well, the grey water pipe was easy to disconnect and move out the way, so that wasn't a problem.
As you can see, we have no suspension now, no shock absorber either, which goes in there. So it's now time to offer up and put up the new leaf spring, and this time we've learnt from the other side. We are going to mount at the back first. Now the back, if you look there, so that's the hole. You could just about, when the spring was on it, you couldn't get the bolt through there because this is in the way. So we're going to mount this. This should be movable slightly. We're going to mount the bolt here, mount the suspension here first of all, and then we're going to mount it here with the U-bolts lining up the hole. That should be very easy. In fact, you can see the hole now, just in there. Right, and then we're going to use our ratchet strap, strap it around the axle here, minding these brake cables, brake pipes, and the handbrake cable, and then pull the axle and the spring, which will be sitting here, pulling it towards these holes here and lining it all up.
We tightened the two mounting bolts after the wheel was put on and lowered to the ground. This would allow the spring to move in the mounts to the correct position rather than twisting in the bushes.
We are done. We have installed a new leaf spring suspension and shock, both sides of Herman. Remember this pipe earlier? This is the outlet pipe for the grey water. Look how close it is there. But the thing is, when there's a wheel on it and we've let the jack down, the spring is going to come up, so that we shouldn't be fouling that. That's good. So that is how you install the spring suspension, leaf spring suspension. Have an idea that we may in the future put airbag assistance suspension here. So that fits over here. Remove this thing, which is actually very warm, by the way. This is the bump stop. Yeah, it goes in between here. But that is in a future video if we do that. Hello and welcome to the following day. We have now finished the rear suspension. That is all nice and tight. Driving around is a pleasure now. None of this wallowing kind of thing. and go around corners quite well, like almost as if we're on rails. The front suspension, that's a different story. It's now complete. It is new, all new springs and shocks. However, whereas all three of the wheels, the two back and this one over there, are all the same level. So all the wheel arch is all the same level. So I think it's 71 centimeters. This one is still too high. You can see the size of that. It's quite high this side. So the rear suspension was pulling it up. So we sorted that now. That's not the problem. What we believe is the problem now is that this shock, even though it's brand new, a brand new Monroe shock, it is fixed. It is kind of really solid, stuck in the up position. And we do remember that when we got it out of the packaging, it was expanding as they do as you take it out of the box, and we couldn't really push it back down. It's a bit stiff. Now if you rock the motorhome from the other side, the driver's side, you can see the suspension tilting like this. Whereas this side, it's solid, doesn't move. And also we have that knocking still, which as we're driving around, we can hear the knocking as it's going over little bumps. But when we go over big bumps, we can hear the shock squelching. So it does actually move, but it's very, very stiff, which is not what we want. So I need to find out if I can get a replacement shock for that. Exchange it for another new one. I don't really want, they're £70 each. I don't really want to buy a brand new one and have two shocks or one I just throw away. So see if I can get an exchange for that. And we're also going to change the top mount as well, but not right now. So hopefully showing you how we did our suspension helped you. If it did, please give us a thumbs up, and maybe that was worth your subscription if you haven't already. If you didn't like this video, let us know, put a comment in the section below, and until next time, thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.
Thanks for watching our video. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed, or leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe for more video updates, or maybe even watch one of our previous videos. Bye bye now.